Why do I enjoy playing basketball? Well, like so many things, to be honest. For me right now, it's more so about finding a way to be physically active and fit, and also enjoying being physically active and fit. And just being able to pick up a basketball, just put everything behind you. You're not thinking about assignments, you're not thinking about the last argument they had with one of your best mates, etc. And just picking up a ball, like hearing the ball go through the net, or in my case, sometimes breaking through the rim. Just loads of fun, just being able to play either by yourself or with other people, right? That's one of the great things about sports, and particularly basketball, I think. You can just pick up a basketball, go to your nearest park, find a number of people that you've never met before, you have nothing in common whatsoever, and just strike up a conversation and play for like 2 hours.
I've been doing shows, now we eating steak, remember sleeping on the floor. We're still at the gas station when the time was cold. In the kitchen, hot, still trying to flip it out the stove. Rocking fake J's, praying that nobody knows.
Honestly, in retrospect, I do not remember the moment where basketball became serious. Like I started playing basketball and I was probably like 5 or 6 even, I can't even remember now. I just signed up to a local club and I was playing sort of representative basketball through that club. And then I think by the age of 12, they transitioned us from being just a rep club where you pay fees to sign up to the club to being a semi-professional sort of affiliation. So from that point onwards, we were representing the team, both in domestic competitions and national competitions. And I guess that's kind of when it started becoming more serious than just picking up a ball and playing with a bunch of mates. From that point onwards, we started having rivalries where we had particular people that we disliked because they would beat us. We had other people that we wanted to beat, etc. And then practices started becoming more and more serious, obviously, because we were all playing for a starting position. So moving forward, so by age 15 or 16 or so, representing the national team became another consideration. So that made practices even more competitive and games even more and more competitive, because now we're playing against a wider audience, and obviously for a greater purpose, which is being selected to represent the country, which is obviously an absolutely tremendous honor. Moving forward even, so age 17, 18, that's when being considered to play for the first team sort of started becoming a thing. So made practices even more competitive and games even more and more competitive. In terms of consistency, it's a very underrated thing, I think, because ultimately I was taught from a very young age that just doing a small act for an extended period of time would do you a lot better or a lot more good compared to doing one big act at a time. And honestly, it sounds incredibly cliche, but just thinking back through my journey, I think that has resonated a lot with me and with the results I was able to achieve, thankfully. So I remember back when, again, basketball started becoming more serious and we were considering sort of the national team and all those sorts of things. I remember before practice, I said to myself, okay, every time there's a practice session scheduled, I'll just go like half an hour early, get some shots up, and then I'll stay half an hour late, get some more shots up, right? We had practice every single day. So I practically did that, let's say 5 hours, 7 days. And then over the weekend, I said to myself, I'll wake up early one day and then go and get some more shots up, like for an hour a week, essentially. So essentially what ended up happening is I was spending like an extra hour a day, an extra hour over the weekend, I suppose. And I did that over an extended period of time, so about 9 months, which was the entire season. And then I think that pattern and that routine and that consistency allowed me to be selected to the national team, because otherwise I had nothing else going for me at the time, to be honest, other than being able to shoot well. And then later on in life, and obviously seeing those results subconsciously entrenched the idea that consistency yields results, right? So even without thinking about it, later on in life, when it came to university and achieving grades, etc., I knew that I have to put in the work early and have to put the work in consistently, even if it's a small portion of work at a time. There's obviously been other times where I felt, I guess, emotionally or I guess mentally unfit to play. One of the things that come to mind is a basketball camp that I went. So it was the Basketball Without Borders camp in Toronto. That was in 2016. At the time, this was just before my dad had passed away. So at the time, like, we knew that he was going to pass away because he had a terminal illness. And then I was selected for this camp. Obviously, being selected for this camp is a great, great honor. It's only a select few individuals per continent are selected to go to that camp. It was in 2016 in Toronto, so it coincided with the All-Star weekend. So we were going to be exposed to all of the All-Star players, going to see the games, dunk contest, etc. So it was obviously a tremendous, tremendous honor. I was so, so proud to be even considered, let alone selected, to represent my country and my continent in that camp. But then I'm also human, right? So obviously everything that's happened with my dad, and like I couldn't bear the thought of like him potentially like passing away while I was in the camp, or even like losing a few days. It was specifically 3 days for the weekend, 3 days off my time with him, right? But then I spoke to the man himself, spoke to my dad, spoke to my family, and my dad was quite insistent. He didn't want me to like miss out on the opportunity because of his illness, which is obviously quite selfless coming from him, and something that I still think about until today, whether I should have gone to the camp or not. But I guess what ended up happening is I ended up going, and even like playing basketball, like in the camp itself, like my head wasn't in the game at all. Like I'm pretty sure like I performed like terribly, sort of wasn't thinking straight, etc. And one of the people that's one of the coaches from Africa who was in the camp in Toronto, because he knew me from the I guess African camp, he pulled me aside and he was like, "What's wrong? What's happening? Like you're clearly not yourself. Like what's going on?" And I told him what was happening at home. And then he was obviously like, he was great to like sympathize, and he told me to control what I can control, right? Like he told me the fact of the matter is that I'm currently in Toronto, Canada. I'm not in Sydney, Australia. I'm not by my dad's bedside, even if I wanted to. And the best thing that I can do by him and by myself is to like put that behind me for a second and just focus on playing basketball, having fun, representing myself, my dad, and my country and continent in the best way that I can. I guess from that, like you learn a lesson, right? Obviously, this is probably the most extreme like scenario of someone playing basketball while they have an ongoing sort of family crisis happening at the same time. But you learn a lesson in the sense that you learn that everyone has something going on, right? They may not let it show, but it could be affecting them like on a personal level. And sometimes, like the way life is, like you sometimes just have to put it behind you and just go on, right? You still have to recognize when you want to call it quits, when you want to ask for help and seek help, etc., seek for assistance, especially for your mental health. But you also want to recognize the fact that sometimes you just have to make ends meet, right? Like the lights have to stay on. I think my experience can apply to other people. If you were to think of how I transitioned, I guess, from being someone who's committed a lot to playing basketball to now like committed a lot to studying medicine and being a medical doctor. So obviously I put a lot of like work, a lot of like I guess blood, sweat and tears into being a basketball player and potentially like playing basketball as a career, and that didn't pan out to a number of reasons, whether it's injuries, etc. But then ultimately I found my calling, I would say, in studying medicine and being a medical doctor. And the beauty of this is that when I made the decision to transition from sort of a sports person to sort of a more academically oriented person, it was a seamless transition, so to speak. So it wasn't like I was starting a new venture anew. I was able to carry forth all the experiences, all the skills, and all the knowledge that I learned from being a basketball player to my new career, being a medical doctor. And I think that's something that I think other people can apply to their own personal and professional endeavors. So I guess the lesson here is that even if you're consistent, if you're working hard in one particular sort of endeavor, one particular project, and that project doesn't pan out, just because that door's closed doesn't mean that you've lost everything. You still have all the experiences and all the knowledge that you've gained through that process to fall back on. And all the knowledge and all the experiences that you gained will be something that will propel you to your next endeavor and allow you to become a better person, both personally and professionally.